Now time for the 7 things you'll be talking about today. Number 7.
All right, I don't know how in the world they came to this. I have no idea how they came up with this. They are completely wrong. They are totally wrong. CBS Sports has ranked Texas and Oklahoma's Red River rivalry as the top SEC rivalry now. That's clickbait, right? That's got to be clickbait. They've been in the SEC for like a week. And that game matters very rarely, especially considering how often the Alabama-Auburn game matters, especially in the SEC. Good Lord. This ranking placed it above the Iron Bowl. Widely considered the best rivalry in college football. The only other one up there with it is Ohio State-Penn State. That one shows up sometimes. Army-Navy if you're like 872 years old like Joe Biden. But it is just ridiculous. As ridiculous as the Texas Longhorns Independence Day post that had the Statue of Liberty throwing the horns. It was pretty wild. They got crushed for that online too.
Number 6.
U.S. Representative Gary Palmer, a Republican out of Hoover, has criticized the Biden administration's nonstop push for electric vehicles. And a lot of people see this and think it's like an anti-electric vehicle thing. I don't view it that way. It's just not there yet. The push for electric vehicles is fine. Tax incentives to create the technology. I think everyone would be fine with that. It's the way we're doing it. We're exacerbating inflation. We're increasing costs for American families. We're harming the agricultural sector. And he's calling for that rule to be withdrawn immediately due to its unrealistic and burdensome nature, because farmers will have to meet this, and it's going to cost them a lot of money, which will cause the price of food to go up. Alabama continues, however, to throw state money at these programs as well. $11.2 million to expand the electric vehicle charging infrastructure along the state's interstates, aiming to support the growing number of EVs and enhance convenience for drivers. State money.
Number 5.
A live PD-like program for the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office will be airing on CBS 42 in Birmingham called Jefferson County Cam Watch. Man, live PD is really the best name for this thing because they've tried their best. What's the new one? On duty or on patrol or something that they try to do? Anyway, July 13th is when it will all kick off. 6:30 p.m. It will run until August 24th. Now, the live PD people I talked about before, they canceled that and then restarted it with something else. They followed these guys around before. They were on the scene of a big crash there at the 5 Point West area there in Birmingham when they were chasing somebody with warrants. They took a lot of criticism from that. The show will give a first-person view of what deputies are working with as they try to prevent crime and make arrests. The sheriff there, Mark Petaway, says that the show's role is recognizing deputies and bridging the gap between law enforcement and the community.
Number 4.
State Senator Garland Gudger, a Republican out of Coleman, who we've talked to multiple times on this program, is currently in the ICU at the UAB hospital following a serious jet ski accident over 4th of July weekend at Smith Lake. He suffered multiple injuries, including a fractured vertebrae, ribs, a punctured lung, and internal bleeding. He expressed gratitude to bystanders, first responders, and medical staff for their life-saving efforts. Gudger is currently in the ICU and focused on recovery, acknowledging the support and prayers from his community. I texted him yesterday after I found out he was awake and doing stuff. I just texted him and said, "Hey, hope you're doing better." All this other stuff. He responded and said he's got a long road ahead of him, and he's appreciative of everyone's support. And yeah, it's a really bad situation. When I heard about that, I mean, it was bad, real bad. I mean, he had to be airlifted, and there was a real risk here for him. He's got a long road ahead of him.
Number 3.
Another bloody, deadly week in the city for Birmingham, as even AL.com's top racial grievance monger is actually close to being right in suggesting that the killers need to be dealt with, but frames it under some nonsense about how the bad guys have to be sick of dying, which is just nothing. It literally says nothing. Like, the bad guys need to be sick of dying. Wow, we are sick of dying. I guess we'll stop shooting at each other. Mayor Randall Woodfin, who embarrassed himself last week on a podcast, has decided they will begin blocking off certain streets today. Safer Streets, this is a quote, Safer Streets is designed around a historic neighborhood that has all these entrances and exit points. To decrease them, to limit and decrease the opportunity for people to just drive in and commit illegal activities. I guess they're trying to cut down on drive-bys. I don't know. Concrete barriers will be painted by neighborhood residents. This will not work. Will not work.
Number 2.
Democrats openly fearing a mentally deteriorating President Joe Biden as their leader have come up with a new boogeyman. Yep, that's right. They have created a new boogeyman. It is called Project 2025. The Heritage Foundation's blueprint for, quote, assembling the staff for the next conservative president with over 110 orgs for victories through policy, personnel, and training. Now, Trump has disavowed the policy as a whole, saying, I agree with some of it, I don't agree with others. The organization itself made it clear it speaks for no campaign or candidate, but that doesn't matter. The American media has received their marching orders and are out in force with the article after article screaming that Trump equals Project 2025, which most people have no idea what that is, and that'll work to the media's advantage as they tell you it's super scary, and every Republican must answer for it. 2025, whoa!
Now, time for the number 1 thing you'll be talking about today.
But it is just a distraction. Remember that. It is just a distraction, okay? Alabama's U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville has made it very clear that he has never been convinced that Joe Biden was running the show, and he didn't think Joe Biden would be the candidate long before the last debate, and now he is absolutely convinced that it's only a matter of time before President Joe Biden calls it a day and believes the race we will see will be between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, citing President Biden's perceived poor performance and lack of control. Tuberville criticized Biden's capacity, calling him a dimension-ridden puppet controlled by other Democratic leaders. And then he names them. Now, Tuberville, I got to give Tuberville credit. This guy is not holding back. He is basically saying, this is what I believe. And he's not like, well, we know who's running the show. Who's running the show? And some politicians will be like, well, I don't want to name names. Tuberville's like, oh, you want to know who's running the show? Here it is. And he named them. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat out of New York. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat out of California. Former President Barack Obama. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. And the so-called deep state. So Tuberville is out here naming names, and he is not afraid to do so. So kudos to him for all of that. Now, if you'd like to weigh in on any of these 7 things, it's all very simple and easy for you to do. All you have to do is pick up the phone right now and give us a call. That's right. Get in on the QC Kinetics free speech phone lines, 866-494-WVNN. You can text us right now. That's a simple one as well. The scoutpestcontrol.com WVNN hot take text line at 866-494-9866. And you can email us.
You've got mail.
Dale at WVNN.com. Get your emails and text in. Don't forget about your questions for 10 with him. We'll get to that at the end of the program. So much happening here today. And 7 things brought to you by our friends at 2 Men in a Truck. 2 Men in a Truck. These guys, very, 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 very helpful. I'll tell you, when I made my move, I was thrilled to have 2 Men in a Truck on the team because I'll just be honest with you, moving sucks. I don't like it. You're not going to like it. No one who's ever moved has said that was a lot of fun. No one has ever said that sure was a lot of fun. I hope I get to move here soon. Nobody says that. Why? Because it's awful. 2 Men in a Truck make it better. They have what's known as the grandma rule. Treat everyone the way you'd want your grandma to be treated. Let them help you with that, and let them help you move all the things you care about. 2 Men in a Truck, Huntsville.com. That's the website. Take advantage of 2 Men in a Truck because they're doing great. You'll get 2 Men, a truck, and so much more. Talk to 2 Men in a Truck today. And when you do, make sure you tell them Dale Jackson sent you.
Get WVNN's Dale Jackson's 7 things you should be talking about today right in your email box every morning. Go to yellowhammernews.com and sign up today.